In March 2018, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his elder brother Raila Odinga shocked the entire country after they appeared at the door of Arambe House for a handshake. That handshake changed the politics of this country completely. And it culminated into what is now commonly referred to as the Building Bridges Initiative process, the BBI. And I want to ask you guys a very honest question. And I expect a honest answer to it. Especially those who've always supported Raila Odinga or those who are still supporting Raila Odinga. My question is this. Do you think the handshake or the Building Bridges Initiative process is serving the political interest of Raila Odinga? Or do you think Raila Odinga's political interest is not being served by the handshake and the Building Bridges Initiative process, and therefore Raila Odinga should abandon it immediately? I want to read your answers, because in this video today, I want us to look at why personally I strongly believe that Raila Odinga should now abandon the Building Bridges Initiative process. But before we do that, if you're watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two and click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Now let us get back to business. Is the handshake and the BBI serving Raila Odinga's political interest? We all know that in March 2018, Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta had the handshake. Before that handshake, this country was divided right in the middle. The question which we are asking, has the handshake served the political interest of Raila Odinga? And is it time now for Raila Odinga to abandon the handshake? Those are the questions which majority of Raila Odinga supporters are asking, because I talk to them most of the time. If you ask me, if there's one thing if there's any good thing, if you ask me, the handshake was one of the best political moves Raila Odinga ever made. And I want to explain to you how the handshake has served the political interest of Raila Odinga up to now. And later on, I'm going to explain to you why he should actually abandon it. Now let me begin by explaining to you so that you can understand how the handshake has helped Raila Odinga. Number one, there's what we call Ruto factor. Assuming today, President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were working together the way they were doing in the first term, how do you think Ruto would be operating with Raila Odinga? With the full support of the state. The truth of the matter is that when Uhuru entered into the handshake with Raila Odinga, he sidelined the deputy president, and the deputy president was subdued. And because the deputy president was subdued, Raila Odinga was able to reorganize himself. Because the truth of the matter is that William Ruto knew so well what he wanted from 2013. In the first term, William Ruto focused all his attention in making money in government. So he made enough money in the first term. In his second term, his calculation was to raid Raila Odinga's strongholds, which he's been doing. But he's been doing that without the support of the deep state and the system. So assuming today the deputy president had that state machinery, how do you think Raila Odinga would be handling him? So the truth of the matter is that the handshake helped in reducing the influence, the energy, the vigor of the deputy president, William Samoei Ruto. And therefore, being the only opponent for Raila Odinga, I think the fact that he's been subdued is good for Raila Odinga. Number two, the handshake also returned Raila Odinga into the game. Let's face it, after the last election, majority of people who are supporting Raila Amolo Odinga started abandoning Raila Amolo Odinga. As a matter of fact, even in 2013, so many people who supported Raila Amolo Odinga thought he would not make a comeback. Raila Odinga is a king of comeback. But in this instance, it's the handshake which brought Raila Odinga back into the game. You can't deny that fact. So today we have Raila Odinga, who has not declared his bid for the presidency, being considered a front runner alongside the deputy president. Why? Because of the fact that is perceived to be in government. The third way it has helped Raila Amolo Odinga is President Uhuru Kenyatta's term. Uhuru had promised to support his deputy, William Samoei Ruto. And when Raila Odinga entered into the handshake, Ruto became angry and they parted ways. So we have a president who had promised to support his deputy, and the deputy president is now not there, which means there is a chance of the president supporting Raila Amolo Odinga. And that's why if you talk to any senior member of Tanga, they will tell you that their only opponent, the person they consider opponent, is actually Raila Amolo Odinga. Why do you think they only consider Raila Amolo Odinga? Because of the fact that Raila Odinga has the numbers and the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to endorse him. And number 4 is the state machinery. When Raila Odinga entered into the handshake, the state denied the deputy president the state machinery. And those state machineries are currently being used by Raila Amolo Odinga. The truth of the matter is that Raila Odinga has been seen launching government projects. Who is Raila Amolo Odinga to launch government projects? He's a nobody in government. So those are the truth. But the fact of the matter is that despite of those benefits of the handshake to Raila Amolo Odinga, the truth is that right now is the time for Raila Amolo Odinga to abandon that handshake. I know I'm not the right person to advise Raila Amolo Odinga. He has his team. But I don't think he should continue with the Building Bridges Initiative process. He needs to tell the brother that, look here, my younger brother, the handshake has served its purpose well. Let us continue with it until the elections. But for the Building Bridges Initiative process, let me abandon it. Why am I saying so? 4 reasons only. Number 1, the Building Bridges Initiative process has actually alienated Raila Amolo Odinga from his core support base. Let us look at it from a political perspective. Raila Odinga entered into the handshake with his supporters. They supported the handshake, though not fully. But along the way, through the handshake, they started seeing Raila Odinga pushing for this thing. Uhuru Kenyatta not serious about it. So these supporters started questioning the honesty of the president towards the handshake. Again, there are certain things which the Raila Odinga stood for before. As we speak today, Raila Odinga no longer stands for those things. So his supporters are left wondering, is this the Raila Odinga we know? Raila Odinga's support base has been alienated by this particular Building Bridges Initiative process. There are some who are supporting Raila Odinga, still, who are the majority, but some are questioning this animal called the Building Bridges Initiative process. And because it's alienating Raila Odinga from his core support base, it is my considered opinion that Raila Odinga should go ahead and abandon the BBI. Number 2 is that President Uhuru Kenyatta has never campaigned for this Building Bridges Initiative process. The High Court made a ruling that the process was unconstitutional. The question which Kenyans are not asking but should be asking is, where was President Uhuru Kenyatta and his team Is there a chance that they just wanted to sabotage this process? Raila Odinga has been the face of the Building Bridges Initiative process. But what happened after the victory at the county assemblies? President Uhuru Kenyatta convened a meeting at State House, and Gideon Moi was invited, Kalonzo Musyoka was invited, Musalia Mudavadi was invited, Charity Ngilu was invited. And the message outside there was that the success was being collective. Uhuru, as we speak today, I've never seen him campaigning seriously the way he ought to have done for this Building Bridges Initiative process. And let's face it, this BBI drama we are witnessing today ought to have ended last year. The person who delayed the process is actually President Uhuru Kenyatta or his people. I remember supporters of Raila Odinga and his allies had to make noise at some point for the process to actually move. So why was the president delaying the process? Why was he delaying it? Because look at the situation where we are today. Number 3 is Raila's agenda. Raila Amolo Odinga agenda has been lost. The question is, what does Raila Odinga stand for today? Before the handshake, you could tell what Raila Odinga stood for. His agenda is being lost somewhere here. Raila Odinga no longer talks about the injustices, the ills, the corruptions in this country. The whole country is actually expecting Raila Odinga to speak on so many matters. But because of the handshake, he can't do that. His hands are tied. So his agenda of change, his agenda of reforms is being lost. And they're being lost and someone is picking them. William Ruto is trying to pick Raila Odinga's agenda of reforms. He's trying to pick Raila Odinga's agenda of change. He's trying to pick Raila Odinga's agenda of transforming the country, despite the fact that he's been in government for so many years. So Raila Odinga's agenda is being lost along the way here. And lastly, because of this handshake, there is no strong voice to put the government to account. What's the impact of that? The impact is that people feel that Raila Odinga has abandoned them at their hour of need. There are so many things which have been happening in this country, especially after the handshake. Raila Odinga is not talking about them. Why? Because most Kenyans believe that being in opposition is actually a preserve of Raila Odinga. On that, I normally disagree with them. But this Building Bridges Initiative process, which Raila Odinga is pursuing and is not abandoning, is the main reason why he can't speak. I don't know what you think. But if you ask me personally, I think the handshake has served the political interest of Raila Amolo Odinga up to this point. It's now the time for Raila Amolo Odinga to do one thing: abandon the Building Bridges Initiative process. Of course, if he were to abandon it even today, the truth of the matter is that the mere fact that is in it with President Uhuru Kenyatta will show that at least for him, he supported the president until the process almost ended. Because remember, Raila Odinga and his team are on record stating that the handshake is actually going to collapse after the Building Bridges Initiative process. But it should not collapse at the terms of the president. That's my advice. Let me hear your opinion on this particular matter. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.